like that since I'm at my house a lot that I straight up do. There's times I don't see people for days straight, and it definitely, I need socialization. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can handle it, but I feel not very good if I go days without going in public, if I'm working at home, doing something here, and you know what I'm saying? But then I have to drive so far to go be in contact with people that's just like, it's such a pain, and I don't like that aspect. I like to be able to walk outside and.
So, as y'all know, I've been on a journey to try to make contact with said young lady, Alexis XJ. There is apparently a platform by which you can make contact with her. I am now currently on that platform and have apparently made contact with her. What will come with that? From here forward, I don't know. The reason I'm saying you know this is some of you may know this is because you're a close personal friend of mine, and I have been expressing, to you, line, because some of you are like, what is going on, man? I'm like, I'm going to make contact with this young lady. So long and the short of it, yeah, that's why that last exercise, it was hearing the accountability, showing, hey, this is what I'm doing, Alexis XJ, I'm just kind of, I guess it really was inspired by this video here. In this video, and by the way, from my understanding, I don't even know how, there's a lot of videos here, and she gets a lot of views here, but the last, if she had started a YouTube page, I have not found that video, because what she has said in the past, she didn't have one. I'm not seeing all the videos I see of her. I don't necessarily see in order. I've seen things from 2023 after I've seen a bunch of stuff in 2024. So I'm trying to connect the dots as much as I can. Whoever posted this, posted it 10 days ago. I had watched it before. That video with me doing the exercise about 6 days ago. I will admit at that time too, though, there was a how should we say, a fraud, okay, a fake account out there that had made contact with me claiming to be her. I am so grateful, like I said, for all these years, people assuming, because I like how she phrased that in a video just recently. She said she wasn't. She said they just attracted bigger guys. She made clear to. I never said that she was attracted to ugly guys, or basically she said that they were alone. Look, it is possible to be alone, okay, and not, how should I say, feel lonely. But it's also possible to be the other way too, is be with people and feel lonely. And so the whole point of pointing that out is this. We've been discussing what got us to this point where we didn't want to be. And that's what happened to me. Is I had a car wreck. I'll be honest. Really started after I left schooling the last time, preaching school. Came back, stayed with my parents for a minute before I finally got my preaching work. Well, where my parents lived, I wasn't from that community. I mean, I've been on their house for years, So I wasn't back in my old stomping grounds where I'd spent most of my adulthood, where some of my friends, the closest ones, still resided. So I go out, leave the state, go to such a small congregation that nobody really participates in the actual conducting the services. So I'm pretty much on me. So it's not like I can go vacationing. I can leave at best, overnight during not Wednesday or Sunday. Maybe Monday, come back Tuesday, something like that. Wednesday, get out of services, leave, be back by Friday, or something at the most. And that happened a couple of times where I'd go out of town, not that far down the road. And usually that was, again, visitation of some member and ended up being in the hospital or something. I had to go visit. Anyways, so didn't make a whole lot of connection out there. The ones I did, because of their personal situations and such, weren't as close as I would like to have been. One of the closest friends I actually had, two of them, I guess my two closest friends, outside of my cousin Terry, who's a distant cousin of mine who I never met until I got out there, and she happened to come out there about 6 months after I got there. Anyways, my closest friends there were a recovering addict, or he was trying to recover, let's put it this way. He was an ex-convict. He was a convict, pardon me. A former convict, formerly incarcerated, there you go. Formerly incarcerated individual. So here's this ex-convict here, and I got another young man that I ended up babysitting his children. And those are my three closest allies or friends there. I have managed to keep up with two of them. Josh, that was the gentleman that had done the time. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of years. I have recently. I always speak to my cousin no less than once or twice a year, usually more than that. As far as my other friend Clark, it hasn't been as much over the last few years, but about once a year I try to reach out to him in some form or fashion. Just let him know that, I was grateful to have him in my life at that time. But I'm not going to lie, because of just the nature of all of our lives, what we're going through and having to live our life, doing our jobs and such, I felt alone. I wasn't, I felt alone a lot. I wasn't physically alone. I know there was always people in my life. I'm a preacher, but I felt lonely at times. So there it is. That's what I'm talking about. Well, that feeling kept going because after I left the preaching work, I came back just kind of quickly. I went back to stay with my parents because, speaking of caregiver, Alexis XJ said that kind of appeals to her. Well, I went back from the time I came back was 2000. When I got there in 2015 is when I came back, and I resided with my parents until 2018, almost 3 years exact. Well, no, because I was a couple months after that, I guess. Yeah, it was about I guess it was 3 years and 4 months what it ended up being when I finally left. But I had come back in part because right when I left, my mother was getting to a point that my dad was needing assistance with her anyways. It's part of the reason my sister had moved back to Texas. And she was living down the road from us when I came back. She had been there for a couple years, but moved down. She stayed with them for a couple months, moved down the road. Anyways, yeah, I lived with them for 3 years because my mom had Parkinson's disease and was probably over it at that time, to be honest. If she was not in the early signs of Parkinson's dementia, it's definitely the signs, the early stages. There were signs that she was headed that way into those early stages. The end result, though, is I came back and I was living in an area again. I didn't know anybody. Connected with a few people. I'm not gonna lie. one of my closest personal friends in the world still, which I need to call him. I met at the congregation there when I was worshiping. I had another good friend of mine. Matter of fact, he and I, he bought a bunch of film equipment. He created a story. I started writing the script. We took another one of my short stories, turned it into a script. We started practicing shooting and such, getting ready to shoot the short film, and then still work on the script for the other. And it was time for his family situation. He had to move back into the city, and so I was like, oh man. So and so by the time all this has lapsed, gone through all this, we have I have the car wreck going to work on that morning. I was exhausted, to be perfectly honest. Had not had my sleep apnea diagnosed. Everybody knew I had it, just hadn't been diagnosed and taken care of, treated. But I was working 16-hour shifts, driving an hour home, getting about 3 hours of sleep, driving back to work type of thing. So I did that about 3 days in a row. On that third day, about 2 days in a row. But I've been doing this for months. On that third day, yeah, I thought it was fine when I got up. I knew I felt sleepy initially. Took the shower, thought it was fine. Got in the car. Next thing I know, I'm coming over the road, and that's where things changed. I found out I not already felt lonely because the only other friend I had beside those two gentlemen, and again, they were both married, had children, different lifestyle than I lived. Didn't mean we could hang out all the time. I basically saw them when we were at services. I didn't mean we didn't go. Every now and then, I would go out to lunch with one of them or go to the other one house and go visit for a minute. But it wasn't a regularity. I didn't have anyone to really spend time with. I was grateful, to have the interaction and getting to that point where what she was speaking about. Getting there, I'm not there yet. I had an old college friend that happened to live in the area. He had basically been there ever since he had left. We went to 2 colleges together, back to back, one right after another, and once he left the second one, he landed out in the area where my parents would eventually move because it was basically near their hometown. He was actually living in their hometown where they had grown up as children. Those were my only 3 people I was really connected to. So I'd already kind of been living my life that way, and then I had the car wreck, and I had my coworkers that I bonded with a couple of them because of the type of job I was at. I was working at a camp where children were in custody of the state, and ours was like a top 1 percentile of what I guess people would call problem children. And I'm not talking about their lives. Yes, all their lives are sad and problematic. It was based on the environments, the individuals in them. But these were the ones that they acted out differently than some, and or acted out, shall we say, more consistently in an irrational. Imagine what they were going through, but acted out in ways that were aggressive and that could be destructive to both them and others. Could be detrimental, could bring about harm, whether it be bodily or otherwise. And so this is the type of camp I'm working at. Well, then I have the car wreck. And so now I go from having a fair amount of interaction, even though at times I did feel lonely because I hadn't had but I guess quote unquote, as we like to call them, a best friend, somebody that I always hung out with since I was in preaching school. And I'll be honest, after I had two of them there. To be honest, I had my roommate that was there my first full year, and then that meant my second full year. I had my downstairs neighbor, who I still talk to both of them to this day. So again, I know how blessed I am to have real, true friends. Even though my mother used to say it always bugged her because I had such a small group. I always keep a small group of people that I'm really connected to. And I think when most of us are honest, that's all we really have. That if I lose one of them, it's like the whole world falls apart. And I guess that's because, truth be known, as much as I come across as a as a butt, I really am. It's not emotional. It's I actually genuinely am compassionate and affectionate, and anybody that knows me will tell you that. Sorry, I'm just thinking about all this. So, needless to say, I can't drive anymore. I take my license away because because they asked me how come I fell asleep. So, I don't know, because I'm tired, perhaps my sleep apnea. Well, that's all they had to hear. Even though I had not been diagnosed, and I pointed out in notice of court, I went ahead and took my license away. So now I've gone from not having a lot of friends in the area to now still residing with my parents. My mother by this time has started to really progress to the point it is obvious the dementia has kicked in. So I go, I'm crippled up myself. My mother's Parkinson's is getting worse and worse, where she can do less and less. The first few months, she's gone about the first 2 months after I have the car wreck, because she went home after they came up for the day of my surgery and did things she shouldn't have done and failed that night. That was my mom. And she had to go in a nursing facility for about 2 months. So it was just my dad and I. And poor guy had to take care of me, and even help. This arm couldn't do nothing at first. He had to kind of help wash me and everything. So he had to play that caretaker role. And I will always respect him and love him for. This man was over 70 at the time. That when he brought my mom home 2 months after, at that time he was still doing all 3-hour laundry, and he was working a full-time job and taking care of his full-grown son and his mother. His wife. His son's mother, but his wife. He had to help me put my socks on and stuff. And he just lost it one day. And that's when I was like, okay, I got to make things change. And so I worked real hard to get where I needed to be, so I could do more. And so my dad could leave. And when he left, I had to become caretaker of my mother. But of course, she was a lot of moves and swings. So it was very difficult. But it's not anything that any of us hadn't gone through in our lifetime. Having difficulties with family and hard times. And I'm grateful I was there, and I'm grateful I got to spend time with my mother. And I wouldn't have had it any other way in that aspect. But after the car wreck, my dad also decided to take another job. So they moved back to where they had lived 13 years before. And that would be where my dad resided and my mother resided until his passing in 2021. Then my mother would move in with my sister for a couple months and then spend the remainder of her years in the nursing facility. She passed this last December, the one before 2023. So it was on the 23rd. So that being stated, long and short of it, after we moved, by car wreck happened in February of that year, in 2018. After we moved. My dad moved during the summer. My mom and myself, we moved out there with him about August. He moved at the very beginning of the summer, like May. So we get moved out there about mid-August. So by September, I realized I need to move forward based on where I'm at in my life and how I'm starting to already. I'm bipolar. It's just that simple. That too wasn't, well, it had been officially diagnosed years ago. Alexis was talking about 3 years of sobriety. Any of y'all that already know me know that I used to self-medicate, and that's what the drinking was about. So I've been diagnosed like back years and years ago. Like I said, at the time of the diagnosis, the second diagnosis, or where the records were updated, we'll say, because I went through all those years where self-medicated and then just didn't do anything, tried to deal with it. Long and short of it, I guess that had been like 20 years plus, almost 30 years. So by the time it's 2004, 24 years. And by the time I actually got the diagnosis, it was another 26 when I officially got diagnosed again. When they diagnosed me the first time, it was people just called it clinical manic depression. Now it's called being bipolar. Clinical manic depression. Oh, bipolar. Okay, you're bipolar. So, which, by the way, right now, it's a little scary because I just thought about how I seem to be rambling a little bit, and I apologize for that. Probably I'm on a manic state, in part because I'm grateful. I need you to hear this, Alexis. No matter what, I'm grateful to have found you, because you reminded me of some truths that in some ways I had forgotten about myself. I've always been the big man the fat man, the morbidly obese man, the super morbidly obese man. I can't even say obese. By the time I built such confidence, I was morbidly obese, super morbidly obese. I'm talking about period of my life, 250 to 600 pounds, or I've been to 605 one time, briefly. Well, I've done it twice, actually. Briefly, both times over 600. Before that, I pushed it a couple times. But from those ranges, 250 to 605, I don't know what started changing in me. Actually, I do know where it changed. A lot of it was on internship. But had a confidence in me, and I know I gotta get back, but a confidence built up in me. I guess I just realized, look, I'm a big guy, and doesn't mean I have any less value than anyone else, and it doesn't make me ugly. It just means I'm fat. And so, yeah. So I that's the way I approached it, and so I became very much like Jeff Foxworthy. I guess this is how my brain works. Something similar to this, where he said, you know, he says, "It might be a redneck if you think when they say she's out of your league, she bowls on a different night than you." So that was me. I mean, people would tell me she's out of my league. I don't know what that means. So even though you only call yourself, I'm trying to remember some of your terminology because it's so funny to me. It's very humorous, and I just like it. It's cool. It's some of it is very endearing. Do you think I do have memory problems, but was it a funky chunky like that? That's good about. But basically, how you were saying you were some kind of Midwest, like gas station 6. You may be a 6 in some people's book, mainly I think in your mind. And I guess if somebody maybe didn't have tattoos weren't maybe their thing, if that was something they assessed beauty by, some people love them. Me, the older I get, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. That's you're right. There's this aspect of. I was watching another video. Yeah, let's be honest. There's all of us. There's certain aspects of one's physicality that draw us to them. That shallowness. I'm kind of like you, though. I remember one time I was telling one of my friends, actually it was my boss / friend, I said, "Man, I love tiny women, like, skinny women." He goes, "You just love women." And I went, "That's true." So, I love tall ones, short ones, some bigger ones, some very skinny ones. He's right, dude. That's an honest statement about me. So that's something you and I have in common that as far as that aspect goes. But because of that, my whole point was that I never felt like a woman was unapproachable. So just seeing you and seeing how you felt reminded me of who I was. And so thank you for that. So I kind of got sidetracked to say that. So that's something positive. Let's get back to what you were talking about. People never talk about the negative things they've experienced or such. And then sharing these things can help. Which will bring us back to this positive here in a little bit. But trying to wrap this up. So I went back to school. I decided what I had to do because I needed something positive. Let's go back and get our grad school. Get our master's, get our graduate studies done. I hadn't been to school in 20. That's not true because I've been to preaching school. But I hadn't been to a traditional collegiate atmosphere in 20 years. Now, to be honest, since I don't want to overshoot that, 2011, 2013, man, I went to preaching school, and I'm going to tell you something. Preaching school, I don't know why I'm fiddling with my hair and such so much. I went and took my shower and everything, washed it. I got a video earlier just brushing, more than I usually ever do. Anyways, maybe it's a little nerves, I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little wound right now, I can tell that. It's not time for meds either, no. Too early, can't take them yet. They'll keep me awake, although I'm pretty alert. Went ahead and did my graduate studies. Okay, means I went back to what I like to call the hometown of my adult years. I'm back where my people I'm closest to, for the most part. There's some of them. There's one of my closest friends who basically soon to become executor of everything that I own, just because he's better at controlling those things. Nobody in my family is opposed to it. My parents loved him, thought highly of him, know who he is. My sister respects him. he's going to help me move forward. Like, just we all need some guidance and assistance sometimes, and he's when it comes to financial things, better have that kind of guidance on a regular basis. So, I've took myself up and down so much. I'm at a place now. I want to just keep it there, and let's just move forward and have a good life the rest of the way. So that's what we're going to do. But that being stated, outside of him, the vast majority of them, let me rephrase that. 2 of them, like again, handful, right? But since I'm only a handful that I'm really super close to, 2 of them that I have probably that I feel the most connected to are my surrogate little sister, and well, I just happen to be connected still to this day and have a very good relationship with my, lack of a better term, because again, my relationship's always been kind of weird. My college girlfriend and her husband. So there you go. But anyways, that being stated, move back out there, go to the school. Oh yeah, also got my friend Jason. I need to talk to him. Anyways, Jason's a close friend of mine from college too. I thought part of moving there were good to see these 3 in particular regularly. Everybody made some effort because they knew I couldn't drive and such, and they had wanted me to come back because they wanted to be around me, and it worked for a little bit. Remember, I come in December, leave my parents' house late December 2018. Yeah. Yep. So I get there, start school in January. By next December, we are starting to feel the full-fledged impact of COVID-19 in this country. Totally changed my life. I paused at a bad place because you were talking about just being able to step outside and see somebody. That's what my life became. None of my friends were coming to see me because they had relatives and such that were older and such. The only people I saw were people in my apartment. I guess it's kind of more like a set of apartments, So, line of apartments here and line of apartments over there. So if you step outside, the next door neighbor might be outside. Everybody stays at their door to keep the distance thing. I become so isolated and such that for the first time in my life, I start showing kind of almost antisocial tendencies. They definitely developed into that. And I was shocked because that's not who I was. When I was in school, I was like Norm Peterson. When he walked into Cheers, Norm! We host these parties, my buddies and I, cast parties. And when I show up, always cordially late, By the way, I know to be on time, 15 minutes before minimum. I got that. Trust me, I was reared the same way. But a lot of that had to do with my transportation. He didn't learn that until later in life, but I also did it kind of, I'll be honest, play it up a little bit. So I show up, everybody goes, Thurman! So, okay, cool. Anyways. That's who I had been. I was very social, and now I'm being moved back to have my support group, to have my friends again, to start spending time with them again, and it all gets ripped away. And I can't drive, and now I'm left to my little one bedroom apartment, and the only people I have to connect to are living different lifestyles than me, extremely different. I'm not trying to judge them. I love them very much. I used to, because on some level, somehow, some way, I was always more blessed than many of them. So I would host barbecues and we'd cook vast amounts. There was one weekend we fed about 40 people in a 2-day period of time. Love that. I'm grateful for that. But the end result is, outside of these people that, many of them I haven't stayed connected with since then, I have some fond memories of a couple of them. Do have contact with two of them at least on some level. And but it was just a different world. It wasn't, they were my people, but it was one of those things that, the truth be known, because we just wouldn't cross each other's paths, had I not become locked down. And maybe there was, and that in itself maybe was a blessing. And just chances are we wouldn't have interacted a whole lot. So I'm grateful they were there, but again, it was starting that time period though. I started really suffering a lot from the depression. And actually, after even that first year, I was focused on the studies and such, and was struggling with depression more than I knew. That my mobility started going down. Weight, I'd actually managed to drop about, after my car wreck, about 80 pounds. And then I went back up. And again, obviously I don't have an issue with myself as I am. I love myself, but I'm starting to understand what someone told me recently. They didn't think I love myself. I think I always have, from that standpoint. I've always been secure in who I am, but I get it now. What they were saying is I don't do anything for myself, so I'm doing this for myself. And I thank you, Alexis, because I don't know why you decided to start doing what you did, but based on what I'm listening to, I'm assuming, I haven't gone back to like the very first video. Okay, I don't know where that's at. Maybe you want to share that with me, that'd be great. But yeah, I did this for myself because I saw you, and I'd already started doing the accountability thing, which was for myself, because I knew I was at a point I needed to make some change. But this just took it to another level. I thought, well, hey, if I can do that, and that's helping me, and my counselor's encouraging that, I'm going to do this as well. This is my way of connecting, seeking out people, telling them, hey, look, I want people in my life. And I have people in my life, and I'm blessed. But in particular, I would like a significant other. And in today's society and with technology as it is and such, and how we interact, why is this any more irrational than, like you said, funky chunky dude? Why does that shock people? You live in America. She's right, guys. 40% of the population is obese, morbidly obese or super morbidly obese. I'm not saying that's. No, I know for some people it is some major health problems. Believe it or not, my caretaker can tell you. By the way, I can't do everything on my own. DBShay is here to assist with a few things, just because it does make it easier for me. They provide the services anyways. Might as well take that and use it to help me move myself back to where I need to be. And having DBShay here allows me to do that, so I can spend time with therapists and such, building back my strength and such that I lost in part. And that was the point. And this is the point I'm trying to get at. That over the years, starting about 2020 in particular, it started going downhill. By December 2021, I went from being able to walk and still step over things very easily, such I might get winded because I just quit. I used to be the fat guy that walked everywhere. I'm telling you, 400 and 500 pounds. The day before my car wreck, I could walk a mile and a half through the hill country of Texas, okay, like this. I'm not talking about walking down the road in the hill country. I'm talking about walking through the hills, through the hill country. I might be winded, but I could do it, you know. And a year, that's 2018. By 2020, yeah, going around the block and such just wasn't, I could walk, but I couldn't walk, a mile and a half anymore. And that was just upsetting to me because I'd always been the fat guy that walked everywhere. And I realized a lot of it was because I got isolated and depressed and because it became sedentary and didn't move enough. That's what it is. I became sedentary. I did not move enough. But because of my living situation, the hard freeze in February 2021, again, I moved, but I thought the situation would be better in a lot of ways. I'm appreciative again for the experience and the people that lived with me. I love those children in particular. I helped rear my friend's children. And I'll say that he is my friend's children. He's a good acquaintance for sure. And I appreciate the time and the trust he put in me to help rear his children. I literally was their nanny for almost we went in there it was about a year, a little over a year. Anyways, when it was all said and done, within a few months, I was having more difficulty moving, and somewhere between February and May, I got up off my bed one day and realized I couldn't barely make it to the door. I had to start walking with a cane, some and such. And I guess the whole point of this, I've been a lot more ups and downs since then. And those that know me already know them. I ended up moving by 2022, December. Not really needing the cane a whole lot there, I guess, at that point, but some. Got a wound right away. Ended up in a nursing facility for 7 months, trying to recover from the wound because it was a really bad wound. Ended up, like I said, walking while I was there with walkers and canes and such. And just since then, there's been nothing but ups and downs of fluctuation of weight and periods of better mobility than others. I can't walk with just one cane. The distance of it right now, not a mile and a half. I know that. I haven't really. We're making progress right now. I haven't pressed myself to see how far yet, because I haven't left the apartment since August, in part because of the steps. Because I got so discouraged after I was going through a period. I was getting my mobility, I was getting stronger again. I was going out constantly. Some hiccups came about that caused that to stop, come to an end. So finally got back to where I was trying to do so again. And the long and the short of it, basically, I don't know if I was just exhausted or what, but it got to a point that one day I was moving, walking, but every time I tried to get up, I just couldn't get up. Like if I got down, I had to literally have somebody help me out all day that day. About 4 days later, went out, came back home, went up the steps, came back here in my room, and after a couple hours, needed to get up, go call, answer the call of nature, and literally could not do it. And decided I'd warm myself out. Basically went from, because the getting up was the problem, gave myself too much grace. Kept working on the getting up, but the only movement really was back and forth to the restroom. And so after a couple weeks, I've lost mobility again, and now it's like, So, managed to be blessed to get therapy. But the whole point about talking about the things that, you were talking about, Alexis, that people won't often share. Yes, they share all the good things, and this is for the accountability group as well. It's the first time I guess, wow, it's 45 minutes. If you stuck through this, whether you're Alexis or you're the individuals of the accountability group, thank you. I'm just hoping something beneficial comes of it for you, though. That we all have struggles. I've always said this, those of you on accountability, and those are my friends. No one man is an island unto himself. It's not my genius thought. We all know that's a phrase everybody knows. And every individual is only as strong as the weakest link in their support group. And my support group is better than some. But circumstances and this life in general, I say circumstances, I'm not just talking about COVID, because we all have different life circumstances. And I don't consider, a marriage circumstances. But what I'm saying is, when you're married to have a kid, circumstances arise. And that means your responsibilities are a certain place already. Even if you care about me and you love me, I'm not your top priority. And that's when I think that even though you cannot be, not necessarily alone, I do feel lonely at times. But I also realize that sitting here in this room, what I've missed over the last several months is I do have a congregation that I meet with. That was where in this area, because I moved again after the wound. I live in a totally different area now. A little disappointed because they didn't have transportation like I thought you would in this big area. So I also understand having to drive 30 minutes to interact. Moving to an area where you think they'd have public transportation and you don't, it's similar type of feeling, because whether I had the money or not, and there's been times since I've been here I've had it, I'm not going to drop $17 on the Uber every time I go one way. $30 or whatever by the time you get through with whatever it is, between the actual $17, let's say, because my goodness, even if you're made on money, but trying to give a decent tip, you might be around $30, maybe a little less, when it's tight, you're like, man, I kind of need to keep things, I don't got to make a tip, I need to make a decent one, but still. So, yeah, who has that? Or even if you do, like I said, why spend that? But, that's the reason you want to own your own stuff, like you're saying, Alexis, and your own vehicles. And at this point, the only problem is I might get my license back yet. I haven't had an opportunity to really. I had to take care of some things to meet the state qualifications, I guess. I think I'm at those now. I just hadn't had a point to move forward with that until now. And so that's something we're going to look into, because that definitely is causing a hindrance. But here's the point. even if I couldn't drive still. The fact that I allow myself to get immobile, okay? I don't want to beat myself up, but at the same time, I have to be accountable and accept that happened because of me. Because I could have kept moving. I could have not become so overwhelmed. Yes, I understand I'm bipolar, and that does have an impact on it. But ultimately, everything is a choice. So here's what I'm trying to those in the accountability group. You're going to hit lows, and you may make some choices that lead to something. Maybe that's why you are here now. Like, what brought us to this point? How are we going to move forward? First, you have to acknowledge and take accountability where it applies to you. But then, now the next thing we have to be accountable unto ourselves is what steps we're going to take to change it. And so, there it is. That's my story that I wanted to share about the one thing in my life that was not how I wanted it to be, but that I allowed it to get to that point, and now I have to accept that, yes, it's going to require work on me, but it's worth working for because I want, again, this is not about me being super smart or anything. Based on my situation, some weight loss probably is going to happen, some already has, but mainly it's a matter of getting back, moving, building my strength, and, I'm always going to be a funky, chunky guy. I want you to know that, Alexis. And anybody that knows me knows that. And I'm always going to think I'm all that, and not a bag of chips, but a truckload of chips. So I wouldn't have been shooting these videos the way I have without my shirt if I wasn't confident in who I am. And I guess that's part of the reason I've been doing the ones where you can see me even. Because I want people to understand. And thank you. Thank you for that, Alexis. That's what I'm trying to say. Is thank you for that right there. Because that, you being so open about your love for fat men made me realize, you know what? I've always loved myself, and I've always been confident enough that I could date. Well, let's be honest, I love women like Alexis, but and I could throw out all y'all's names. You know who you are, and have dated on, gone on dates with women who look like you. And I'm not just talking about your physical beauty though. I've been fortunate enough to been loved and dated women that were attractive both externally and internally, that inside stuff you were talking about. What I will say, and I'm going to state that now, I need everybody in this accountability group to understand this. There are those that they may love you because of outside factors and even some things they're working on them in themselves. They may not be able to return that love in similar fashion even. I don't even want to. There's two in particular right now that wasn't, since they've been within the last 2 years. I don't hold any grudges. There's no resentment. Still love you both. I know in all honesty, because y'all have said it, I know y'all love me. For whatever reasons, I was kind of harsh the other day. I was speaking, I think, about courage. Sometimes it is courage. Sometimes it's strength. Sometimes, looking at my own situation, sometimes you have to do what's right for yourself, though. And that's the loving yourself, cherish, that you kept trying to talk to me about. I do love myself. For me, though, here's my point. For me, that's what I'm trying to do for myself. I understand that I'm going to accept now, Amy, you as well. You and Cherish, y'all need to focus on loving yourself. That's true. And doing for yourself. And for you, the two of y'all, I think that y'all see on some level, from what I gather from our conversation, from what was between us, that on some level that almost seemed like a burden more to have a mate than an asset. I'm sorry that's where you're at. I'm sorry I couldn't have made you feel differently and that I didn't prove to be that asset. Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm not that asset for you. Maybe you really do understand. Because I think I had enough conversation with both of y'all. I think y'all do know that. That would help y'all. Whether you're ready for that or not, you think you still need to get a couple more things in order, that's for you to decide. I told y'all where I both stand, so I don't want to stop loving either one of you, but I respect. Okay? That being stated, this is for me. I'm back out here. That's the first time I've used either one of y'all's names. It's because I need y'all to hear that. That was for me. I apologize if that impacts you in any way you think is negative. I was not trying to be selfish. I was trying to love myself. And that's what I'm saying, Alexis XJ, whether it be you or someone else. That's what I've been talking about on my TikTok. That's what I've been talking about now that I've also started the Instagram. And that's what I want to be talking about here. Not on accountability, just this one time tonight. Accountability is for a different thing, usually. But I'm hoping this does help somebody, because that's what we're here for, that community. We're accountable to ourselves and to each other, right? That's right. Hopefully this helps you realize that lesson, I've got it now. I understand what the people are now saying. And I've never been one to really do things for myself, but I had to acknowledge, when I saw you the other day, Alexis XJ, I wanted something for myself. And that was okay. I didn't have to keep... I can always be a giving person. That's just who I am. Cherish you and I talked about that. That's who we're all going to be. Amy, I know that's who you are too at heart. There's just some of us, that's how we're... Alexis, you must be. You're talking about being a caregiver. That's just who we are at heart, okay? And that's not going to ever change. But what I did realize is I don't do some things to really show love to myself. Some people want to talk about weight, all that. I thank you, Alexis. That doesn't show whether I love myself or not. Because my health has been good. It's better than most people. I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. My mobility is the thing where I stopped loving myself. I will say that. Because I got so depressed that I stopped myself from making it still feasible to have the connections I wanted on some level, because, like I said, there was a time I used to just walk across that town. So, realizing that, working on that mobility back where it's where I wanted to be, which is, being capable of surviving the zombie apocalypse. Being able to maybe drop it like it's hot again. Anyways, that being stated, trying to wrap this up here. Do I need love from the standpoint that I can't survive without a significant other? Let's put it that way. Or without a best friend. Man, I hadn't had those connections in a few years now. So yeah, I know I can survive. Don't want to? No. And part of my love is of myself, I understand this. Got it. Slim again, finally. Because I have to do things for myself. Because those things, when I do them for me, they keep me motivated so I can keep serving others and being a contributing member of society, which I've really struggled over the last 4 years, whether I'm productive or not. Some people, that kind of phrase was kind of thrown at me the other day by a family member, go back to being productive. And then I realized, wait a second, I am productive though. I am a contributing member of society. Not in the fashions I have been before, but I do still do a leadership training class, or fixing to head back in that in 2 weeks. The children, I do contribute that. I am the individual that certain ones of you call when you need guidance about parenting or spiritual matters or whatever it may be. Not financial. That's not me. That's not. But that means I'm still contributing. And if me contributing to you gives you the answer you need so you can be productive, I'm still a part of the productive process. But again, so another reason why I started doing videos and such was to reach out to people, let them know they're not doing this on their own. But it also was something to produce, putting forth something's coming out of it. But I'm not going to back off this. Since I've already thrown your names out there, Cherish and Amy, this is where I do stand. I want everybody to listen to this. Accountability. You got to draw your boundaries. And for me, I'm at a point, based on my age, I know what I'm seeking and what I need to find. I'm not saying it can't take a little while. But once you hit a point where you start knowing what you know that. We all know that. I start having, let's be honest, I'm talking about relationships here. Those feelings are starting to grow. You're either going to choose to head to the hills or you're going to choose to follow through with them. It's dragging it out. Well, I'm feeling it, but I don't really, I need a little bit. No, I ain't got more time. You said it. You know what you're feeling. I've said it. We're on the same page. Your reservations, because of your fear, whatever it may be, I'm not going to hate you for it, but I have to move forward. And so I'm going to make it very clear right here, right now. What I'm doing for myself, and this is what I'm saying, people accountability, do something for yourself. Let everybody know what it is you're doing for yourself. Sometimes what you're doing for yourself, others can't help you with it. Sometimes, it's one of those things, just having their support is how they help you. So my friends are reaching out to me. Alexis XJ. I want to get to know you. I would like to court you. That's what I'm doing for myself right now. Now, should you choose not to receive that, I understand. No hatred, nothing but love for you, because I'm here right now doing this because I was inspired by you. So you've already impacted my life in ways that people, I've known people, personally known them, that didn't have this kind of impact on my life. I hope to personally get to know you. I'm not going to lie to you, because it wouldn't be fair. I told Cherish and Amy, I don't have room for friends. All my female friend positions are filled. Okay. I'm not saying. Obviously, we start trying to get to know each other. It makes us acquaintances that we will always be, no matter what. If we move forward, so be it. Okay. That's always going to at least be that. How well we're acquainted, that's a different thing, you know? But once you met somebody, you're acquainted with them. So, all I'm stating is not only for you, but for anybody who watches the TikTok, watches the accountability, wear sweet tea. It's a TikTok thing, right? Where sweet tea, where Thurman is headed, as he's headed out to seek out that love, affirmation. I'm worthy, I love myself, I deserve to be loved. Someone is deserving of my love. There's one for them. Because it's saying positive about me too, because I understand that my love is worth having. So, just letting you know, that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm headed. And somebody will choose to come along that journey. Alexis, there's so many things that I hope we speak about because I watch your videos and I wouldn't say we have all things in common, but there is a spirit there amongst the two of us. Very similar. Very similar. It's worth investigating. That's for you to decide, though. And then it's for me to accept. Well, I have to accept it no matter what. May not be the easiest thing to do, but I have to accept it. No matter what the choice is. May not be easy if it's what I want, because then, we're human, and sometimes we get overwhelmed, intimidated. But I do understand what Church talk about. You got to look at every part of life, the good and the bad. It's about the experience, and try to use that to be grateful for that, because those experiences, good or bad, I don't want to get, every time I just think like that, it pops in my head. You take the good, you take the bad, put them together, well, you have the facts of life. And it is true, it is the facts of life. But how much would we really appreciate things that are so great in our life if we didn't have to experience a few things that weren't so great? Just think about it. I mean, it's not a huge philosophical statement. I know we've all heard it. We don't like thinking about it, but there's a certain amount of truth to it. There's a balance. All right. I could go on forever. And I have. I've almost spoken now as long as the longest sermon I've ever preached, and almost as well, no, a little bit longer than I actually did in Act 2, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, when I played Big Daddy Pollitt. Because that was pretty much a 45-minute monologue where along the way, Brick, the character Brick, interjects, not really ever stopping the monologue per se, but just responds to why Big Daddy keeps rattling on for about 45 minutes. Whatever you say, Big Daddy. Okay, Big Daddy. That's not the exact lines, but that's basically what the lines come across as. So to everybody in accountability group, thank you. I miss y'all. I need to be more faithful to shooting these videos again. I need to get back to talking about the holistic approach of healing ourselves, which means there's some spiritual and physical aspects. I see y'all like the working out part for me, dude. I guess I'll have to shoot that a lot more. I come to that conclusion a while back. I guess I was going through a period I was low resistant. Now I got the physical therapist here, an occupational therapist, no excuse. I even told him the other day, hey, I'm going to start shooting this. So I guess I might as well start. Might as well start. They're coming here next week. We'll definitely do it then. We'll move back to that because that seems to have the most appeal for y'all. So we'll do that. We'll do it that way. Do our talk, speak a little bit while we're doing our workout. Try to get back to putting them back out. Pretty much 5 days a week. We'll see. I said we'll see because I let you down. That stopped happening. I got overwhelmed. That's not an excuse. I'm confessing it. I confessed when I knew it was going to stop happening. I don't want to totally commit to it, but I think that's what we need to strive to. So, try to get back to it. I'm going to need some help. I need some support. I need to know you're there. It becomes very discouraging when we got 50 videos with one watch. One video gets 50 watches and next one put out gets 5. You know? Come on, guys. I need a little support too. We're all human. Right? That's why we're supposed to be here for each other. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's try to be consistent with each other. That's what it's supposed to be, a community. Outside of that, Cherish, Amy, again, thank you for the things. I've done some reflecting. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's all I'll say at this point. I love you both, and thank you. Alexis, I don't know you, so I love your being, the essence of who you are, and who appears you, which I'm sure that's what you're putting forth. You seem very genuine. I'm certain that's who you are, but I cannot say I know you yet. And so my love for you is my love that I have for who you are and what you are trying to do and how it impacts others. So, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm looking forward to getting to know you. I hope that's what you choose. I made that clear last message to you. I'm going to wait for your response. Now, I'm going to say bye. What I need y'all to do, you know it. Come on. I need you to, like? Okay? I need you to subscribe. I need you to hit those notifications. And I need you to share it with others. Because we're trying to do something real here. Alright. This is accountability. I'll catch you next time.